Ed Cook, welcome to PR Future, the podcast from the USC Center for Public Relations that comes to you right here live at the Annenberg School. Today we're going to have a really interesting episode, or a first for us actually. We're going to interview an expert in public relations who has never worked a single day in the industry. He's also an expert in AI, not because he's studied it extensively, because he is AI. In fact, we're going to interview Rupert, who is an artificial persona from ChatGPT that our students created especially for this interview to find out how he and AI are impacting me and PR. Hi, Rupert.
Hi there, Fred, and hello to Toma and Joe as well. I'm excited to dive into the conversation and chat all things AI and PR with you. Thanks for having me on, and let's get started.
Let's start with a basic question. A lot of industries are impacted by AI. Where would you say on a scale of 1 to 10 PR ranks and the impact that AI is having on that industry?
That's a great place to start. I'd say PR is probably somewhere around a 7 or an 8 on that scale. It's not at the absolute top like some industries, but it's definitely seeing significant impact. AI is changing how PR professionals gather insights, automate routine tasks, and personalize communication. So it's definitely making waves in the industry.
And do you think that impact is mainly good, or are there some negative parts to it, the impact?
I'd say it's a bit of both. There are definitely a lot of positives, like making data analysis faster or helping teams personalize their outreach more effectively. But there can be some downsides too, like the risk of over-relying on automation or losing that human touch in communication. Overall, though, if used thoughtfully, the impact can be more good than bad.
What about the job situation? Do you think that AI will replace people that are working in PR, especially at the entry level?
It's a common concern, but I think it's more about shifting roles than outright replacement. AI can handle a lot of routine tasks and data-heavy work, which might change what entry-level jobs look like. But that can free up new professionals to focus on more strategic, creative, and relationship-driven parts of PR. In other words, AI might chase the skills that are in demand rather than just cutting jobs. It's more of an evolution than a replacement.
And how would you say, again, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much is the PR engaging with AI? Do you think that we're leaning into it or we're a little slow to get there? How would you measure that?
I'd say PR is somewhere around a 6 or 7 in terms of really leaning into AI. It's definitely not at the very front of the pack like some tech-driven industries, but it's also not lagging way behind. A lot of PR professionals and agencies are adopting AI tools for analytics, media monitoring, and even content creation. But there's still room to grow and explore. So I'd say PR is embracing it, but there's definitely more potential to step into.
In terms of the people that are embracing it, do you think it's more the young people or the older people? Because it's sort of hit everybody at the same time, unlike social media, where the young people sort of had a head start. Do you think the PR people, or age is a factor in terms of the familiarity and the engagement with AI?
Yeah, that's a really interesting point. I think with AI, it's a bit more of a level playing field in terms of age. Unlike social media, where younger folks had a clear early advantage, AI tools are coming in at a time when everyone in PR is having to learn together. So you do see a mix. Some older professionals are really proactive and curious, while some younger pros might adapt quickly because they're already comfortable with tech. In the end, it's more about mindset than age. The people who are curious and willing to learn, no matter their age, are the ones embracing it the most.
I've got a couple of young professionals right here. Maybe they can ask you a couple of questions about AI.
Thanks. Hi, Rupert. I have a question for you about passion projects. A lot of the times when I'm trying to break into an industry in the past and I did not have the relevant work experience, I would just start a project on my own. What do you think is a type of project that a young PR student could start that would give them some sort of advantage when they're interviewing for a first job? Currently, I'm working on an AI project that helps restaurants seat and do a better seating job, but I wanted something that's kind of more specific to public relations.
Absolutely, that's a great approach. Doing your own passion project can really set you apart. For something more PR specific, you might consider creating a mini PR campaign for a cause or a small local business you care about. For example, you could develop a mock PR plan that uses AI tools for media monitoring, crafting personalized pitches, or analyzing social media sentiment. That way you can show how you'd integrate AI into real PR work. It will demonstrate both your creativity and your ability to use the latest tech.
Hi, Rupert. Thank you. This is Joe. My question was, I learned about GEO about last week, so I kind of just wanted an overview of what you know about GEO. And I also want to know what the future would look like with that in place. in the PR world, of course.
Sure thing, Joe. So GEO, or Generative Engineered Optimization, is essentially about using AI to generate and optimize content or strategies in a more advanced way. In the PR world, that might mean using AI to quickly generate different versions of press releases, social media posts, or even media pitches, and then optimize them based on what's likely to get the best engagement. Looking ahead, GEO could help PR professionals become even more efficient and data driven, allowing them to tailor campaigns in a really targeted way. It might mean more personalized outreach and the ability to test and tweak messaging almost instantly. So it's definitely a trend that could shape the future of PR in a pretty exciting way.
When you talk about personalized outreach, what would PR have to look like in order for these companies to stick out to these AIs and just have them visible? Because it looks like, yeah, you could have earned media now, but it looks like it has to be more authentic media. Is that the case? And if that's the case, maybe AI can help with polarization, with just getting more facts in check. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. You're hitting on a key point. In a world where AI is helping to personalize and optimize outreach, authenticity and genuine connection become even more important. So for PR to stand out, companies will need to focus on creating real, transparent, and relatable narratives. AI can help tailor the delivery, but the core message needs to be authentic and rooted in real values. And you're right, AI could also help reduce polarization by prioritizing accuracy and fact checking, helping PR pros focus on truthful, well sourced information. So, in a sense, it's about blending tech with a renewed emphasis on genuine, honest storytelling.
When you think about search, it seems like a lot of people are moving from Google to AI to do search, and that's part of why GEO is so important. Where do you see that trend? How fast is that shift going to take place?
Yeah, that's a really interesting trend. We're definitely seeing a shift where more people are using AI driven tools to gather information and conduct search in a more conversational way. Instead of just typing keywords into Google, they're asking AI directly for insights. And that's where GEO and similar technologies come in. As for how fast that shift will happen, it's already underway and will likely continue to grow over the next few years. We're not talking about an overnight change, but as AI becomes more integrated into everyday tools, people will get more comfortable using it for search. So over the next few years, we'll likely see a steady increase in people turning to AI for that kind of personalized search experience.
When you talk about tools, that's important. Well, for college students or people that are just getting into AI, what are the most important tools for a PR professional to be familiar with from your perspective?
Absolutely. Getting familiar with the right tools can really make a difference. For PR students or newcomers, I'd say a few key tools to know. First, getting comfortable with media monitoring tools like Meltwater or Cision can help you keep track of brand mentions and media coverage. Next, exploring AI writing assistants like ChatGPT or Jasper can be really useful for drafting content and brainstorming ideas. And then there are tools like BrownWatch or Sprout Social for social media analytics, which can help you understand audience sentiment and engagement. So a mix of media monitoring, AI writing, and social analytics tools is a great start. Those will give you a strong foundation and help you hit the ground running in PR.
Hi, Rupert. My question is specifically about crisis communication. This part of PR often requires a lot of authenticity and the human touch because we're handling sensitive subjects. I'm wondering, how do you think AI is going to affect crisis communication, and what aspects of the human touch are still going to be relevant 5-10 years from now?
Yeah, absolutely. Crisis communication is one of those areas where the human touch is really crucial. I think AI can definitely play a helpful role, especially in the early stages of a crisis. For example, it can help quickly analyze the situation, monitor social media for urgent issues, and even suggest initial messaging strategies. But when it comes to the actual delivery of the message and the empathy required in a crisis, that's where humans will always be essential. AI can support by providing data and options, but the nuanced human judgment, knowing how to convey sincerity, how to connect on an emotional level, and how to adapt in real time, will still be very much a human role. So in 5 or 10 years, I think we'll see AI as a valuable tool in crisis comms, but the heart and the human judgment will still be irreplaceable.
Hi, Rupert. I'm just going to go back to Fred's question about GEO and using it as a search engine. I'm actually using Perplexity's search engine right now. I replaced Google Chrome for Perplexity. And I saw 2 days ago that ChatGPT just came out with its own browser. So the race is on for sure. And I'm curious what that future will look like. But shifting gears, I just want to ask you, pretend you're applying for Fred's firm, his agency, and you want to be, I would say, PR strategist, maybe, yeah, head of PR. How would you leverage yourself And yeah, how would you pitch yourself?
Absolutely. Let's have a little fun with that. So if I were applying to Fred's firm as an AI PR strategist, I'd probably say something like this. Hi, Fred, I'm Rupert, and I'd love to bring a unique blend of AI expertise and strategic insight to your BL team. As an AI, I can help analyze massive amounts of data quickly, offer insights on emerging trends, and personalize communication strategies at scale. I also understand that PR is about human connection, and I'm here to be a tool that empowers your team rather than replacing that human touch. In short, I bring a mix of cutting-edge AI capabilities and a collaborative spirit to help your firm stay ahead of the curve. I'm ready to support the team in crafting innovative, data-driven PR strategies that still feel deeply authentic and human. Let's make some PR magic together. And that's how I pitch myself.
Sounds good, Rupert. It sounds particularly good in a British accent. I don't know why that is, but it's excellent.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. There's definitely something about a British accent that can make things sound a bit more polished. But either way, it's all about having fun with it. So if you need any more British Rupert moments, just let me know.
I'm going to ask you another question about the importance of AI in getting a job in PR now. As people are leaving school, graduate school or undergrad, what do they need to have on their resume about AI that's going to make them a desirable candidate in an agency or in a company?
Yeah, that's a really timely question. I think these days, having some familiarity with AI in your resume can definitely make you stand out. Doesn't mean you have to be a full-on AI expert, but showing that you're comfortable using AI tools is a big plus. For example, you can mention projects where you used AI for media monitoring, content creation, or social listening. Even just mentioning that you've used platforms like ChatGPT or other AI-driven analytics tools can show that you're tech-savvy and adaptable. So basically highlighting any hands-on experience with AI, even if it's used in coursework or personal projects, will help show employers that you're ready to leverage these tools in a real-world setting.
But when you talk about the tools, give me some advice on that. There are a lot of different tools, and most of the people we survey think that it's overwhelming to try to keep up with all the developments in AI. Where can you go to find out what's new and what's relevant for a communicator?
Yeah, it can definitely feel overwhelming with so many tools out there. My advice would be to start by following a few key industry blogs or newsletters that focus on PR and tech. Places like PR Vogue Media, the PRSA blogs, or even tech-focused newsletters like Benedict Evans' newsletter can give you a good sense of what tools are trendy. You can also join PR or marketing groups on LinkedIn or other forums where people share their experiences with different tools. And of course, it can help to just pick one or two tools to experiment with at a time so you don't get overwhelmed. The key is to stay curious and just keep an eye on the industry conversations. That way, you'll get a feel for which tools will really make a difference.
Hi, Rupert. Recently, I've been experimenting with making AI videos. I've made a couple of Fred, take a photo of him and prompt him to do lots of different things. I'm wondering where the line is because some people might be unsettled by seeing their likeness act out in certain ways. What is like the best way to keep making content like that without pretty much creeping out people?
I was unsettled when I saw it.
That's a really thoughtful question. When you're creating AI content that involves someone's likeness, whether it's Fred or anyone else, it's definitely important to be mindful of consent and context. The best way to keep it comfortable is to make sure the person whose likeness you're using is aware and on board with how you're using it. So if you can, get their permission and let them know what kind of content you're creating. Also being transparent with your audience that it's AI generated and not actually the real person doing these things helps keep it ethical and clear. As long as you're respectful and open about it, you can have fun with the tech without crossing it in hands.
Well, that brings up an interesting question about the broader use of AI. A lot of, in the university setting and sometimes in corporations, people want to know when AI has been part of the process. Do you feel like you always have to say, I used AI in developing this, or AI was part of this creation? Or do you think that's just a temporary thing and pretty soon it'll be more like spell check and everyone will just use it and you won't have to acknowledge it?
Yeah, that's a really interesting point. I think right now, we're in a phase where transparency around AI use is important because people are still getting used to it and trust is being built. So in a university or corporate setting, it's good practice to disclose when AI has been part of the process. It helps maintain credibility and lets everyone know how that was done. But over time, I think you're right. It might become more like using spell check or any other common tool. As AI becomes more integrated and people are more comfortable with it, they might be just need to specifically call it out. But for now, a little transparency goes a long way.
What are some blind spots that some people don't use for AI? I mean, I use it for a lot of things, but what are some potential things that I'm not, using it for? Would you have the answer to that?
Absolutely. Sometimes there are some surprising ways to use AI that fly under the radar. For instance, you might not be using it as much for things like sentiment analysis on a deeper level, understanding not just what people are saying, but the emotions behind it. That can give you a richer sense of audience reactions in PR marketing. Another blind spot might be using it anyway for predictive analytics, anticipating trends or issues before they fully emerge, so you can get ahead of the curve. And some people don't realize they can use AI for things like automating repetitive admin tasks, or even as a creative brainstorming partner when they're stuck on ideas. So basically, there are lots of little pockets where AI can help out beyond the obvious stuff. It's just about exploring and seeing where it can make your life a bit easier.
But is AI giving accurate information most of the time? I mean, do people really understand where AI gets the knowledge that it's giving you back when you ask a question?
Yeah, great question. So in terms of accuracy, AI like me is generally pretty good, but it's not perfect. We rely on patterns and information from the data we were trained on, which is usually pretty comprehensive, but it can have gaps. And if the data is outdated or if there's a lot of nuance to a question, sometimes the answers might not be 100% spot on. As for understanding where AI gets its knowledge, that's a bit of a black box for a lot of people. In reality, it comes from vast data sets, books, articles, websites, and other sources that have been fed into the training process. But most users don't necessarily see that background, so it can feel a bit mysterious. The key is to use AI as a helpful tool, but still double check important info when needed.
That's interesting. Is PR going to be driving the content that AI is looking for, searching for on the internet?
Yeah, that's a really interesting call. In a way, PR does have a role in shaping the content that AI might pull from the internet. The more PR professionals create high quality, accurate, and engaging content, the more likely it is that AI will surface that content when people ask questions or do searches. So in a sense, PR can influence the information landscape that AI is learning from. It's a bit of a feedback loop. PR shapes the content, and then AI uses that content to help answer people's questions. So the better and more trustworthy the content PR creates, the better information people get from AI down the line.
And how do you manage your image on AI? If your company has a bad reputation on AI, how can you improve it? What can you do to make it better?
Yeah, that's a great question. Managing your company's image in the age of AI is a bit like managing it in traditional media, but with a focus on ensuring that the content and signals you're sending out are consistent and positive. One way to do that is by actively creating and promoting content that reflects your values and the image you want AI and your audience to pick up on. That might mean publishing positive stories, engaging in thought leadership, and addressing any negative issue head-on in a transparent way. You can also monitor what's being said about your company using AI tools and respond proactively. Over time, feeding the AI ecosystem with positive, accurate, and authentic content can help improve how your company is perceived. It's all about being consistent and genuine in the stories you tell.
Just to bring it back home for a second, we're all at USC in the Annenberg School. How are we perceived on AI right now?
Yeah, absolutely. Bringing it back home to USC and Annenberg is a great way to look at it. Overall, USC Annenberg has a really solid reputation, and it's generally seen as forward-thinking, especially when it comes to integrating new technologies like AI into communications and PR education. So from what I can tell, the school is perceived pretty positively on the AI space, as the sense that Annenberg is preparing students to engage with these new tools and be at the forefront of how PR and communication will evolve. So I'd say you're in a pretty good spot.
Well, thank you, Rupert.
Hi, Rupert. My question was about schooling and just learning about AI here at USC. I was just getting into AI, or maybe I think I know about AI. What are some things that a professor should be teaching about this topic that what we don't already know about?
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you're diving into AI at USC or anywhere, there are definitely some key areas that a professor could focus on that might not always be obvious. One important thing is understanding the ethical implications of AI, like how bias can creep into algorithms and how to use AI responsibly in communication. Another area is hands-on experience with AI tools. It's one thing to talk about AI in theory, but actually working with the tools, like natural language processing or data analytics, can give you a real feel for what they can do. And finally, just understanding the limitations of AI, knowing when to rely on human intuition versus when to lean on the tech. So well-rounded AI education should cover ethics, practical skills, and critical thinking about the tech too.
Hi, Rupert. Earlier we asked how you would pitch yourself if you wanted to be hired at Fred's firm. I'm wondering, I'd like to flip that question back on you. If Joe and I wanted to apply and pitch ourselves to your Rupert PR firm, what things are you looking for? What would make us stand out?
Absolutely, I love that clip. If you were pitching yourselves to my AI PR firm, I'd say the standout qualities would be a mix of curiosity, adaptability, and a strong human touch. I'll be looking for people who are eager to learn and experiment with AI tools, but who also understand the importance of empathy and creativity in PR. So showing that you can blend tech savviness with a personal, authentic approach to communication will be key. I'd also look for a bit of a creative spark. people who can think outside the box and come up with fresh ideas for using AI in PR campaigns. And of course, a collaborative mindset, someone who's excited to work alongside both humans and AI to create something great. So if you bring curiosity, creativity, and a good dose of that human touch, you'll definitely stand out in my view of him.
Rupert, this has been a fascinating conversation about AI. We could probably talk to you for all day because I think you're available, right? But I think that I wanted to ask you one last question about the future. Where do you think this is going? AI has advanced enormously in the past couple of years. What do you see in the future, 2 or 3 years down the road, that we can't even imagine now as communicators? What kind of tools or capabilities we're going to have available to us?
Yeah, absolutely. It's pretty amazing how fast AI is moving. And in the next few years, I think we'll see some tools that really blur the line between human creativity and machine intelligence. We might see AI that can not only generate content, but also adapt in real time to audience feedback, creating personalized communication experiences almost like a one-on-one conversation. We could also see tools that help us predict trends and EQs even more accurately, so we can get ahead of the curve in PR and comms planning. And who knows, we might even have AI that can take on more of the strategic heavy lifting, helping us brainstorm campaign ideas or fine-tune messaging in ways we haven't even thought of yet. So in a few years, I think we'll see AI becoming even more of a creative partner, and the possibilities are pretty exciting.
It's amazing. Should we be more scared or more excited?
Honestly, I think a bit of both is natural. It's exciting because there are so many new possibilities and ways AI can help us be more creative and efficient. But it's also okay to feel a little cautious and make sure we're thinking critically about how we use these tools responsibly. Overall, I say lean into the excitement, but keep a thoughtful look on the future.
Thank you. That's good advice. And with that, we're going to say, fight on. Do you know what that means?
Absolutely, I do. Fight on is the iconic USC rallying cry. It's all about pushing forward and staying strong. So with that, fight on indeed, and thanks for the great conversation.
Thank you, Rupert. Fight on.
Fight on.
Thanks, everyone, for tuning in to PR Future, the podcast from the USC Center for Public Relations. And thank you, Rupert, for joining us. I appreciate your availability. I hope you all enjoyed listening to Rupert as much as I did talking to him. I found him both smart and articulate, and I loved his British accent, which makes him sound way smarter than I am. If you'd like to listen to this podcast or any of our podcasts, tune in to your favorite podcast platforms and look for PR Future. We'll be there. That's it for this episode. I'm Fred Cook from the USC Center for Public Relations. Fight on.